I'm off to Africa to meet Craig Van Zale, an amazing animal expert, and together we're going deep into the African bush to have a go at cracking the code.
And it's not long before we find a resident troop of vervet monkeys.
One of the things that you can do with these primates is by mimicking their facial gestures, you can get a reaction from them.
Okay.
And a lot of what they do is they use their eyes. We suddenly stare like this, open our eyes or blink. What's the response we get? So just don't look at it, don't stare at it now. So when you do stare at it, it suddenly gives it a reaction.
Okay.
And then as it turns around, look, Tommy. You see how it pays attention, it blinks back, moves its head.
Yeah, they do, don't they? Craig, often when I'm on the tube in London, you know, even if it's not packed, everyone has their own staring spot. You'll find a spot, you stare at it, but occasionally somebody, they won't mean to, but they'll stare at you and it makes you feel really uncomfortable.
It's intimidating.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah, whether you look away, so that's submissive.
Yeah.
Or if you look back and challenge. That's how it would be at least with monkeys and baboons.
I'll probably look away, find another spot.
Then you see how you did that?
Yeah.
So you showed you're vulnerable.
Ah,
So that's very, very submissive behaviour to a baboon.
I would turn away. Or a London commuter.
Every summer, from the beginning of May, almost right the way through until June, I'm struck down with hay fever. Itching eyes, scratchy skin and incessant sneezing, and nothing seems to work. But I have heard a theory that local honey could relieve my symptoms. So I'm off to meet the local honey man, Curtis, to find out if he can help with the 7-week itch. I'm here with Curtis, aka the local honey man. So tell us why you're called the local honey man.
I'm not actually the local honey man. I'm a founder of a company called the Local Honey Man.
I see. Okay, so obviously you must make honey, and I guess it's local.
Well, I don't actually make honey.
Okay.
My bees make honey for us.
Ah, okay.
And yes, they are local because we have a number of apiary spots dotted in and around London.
It's interesting because I've kind of come here today to find out if there is any truth in local honey being a bit of a symptom reducer for hay fever.
Yes, and there is certainly a lot of truth in that. We've had umpteen amount of customers that have come back to us and given us positive feedback to say thanks for sort of providing this service, providing this local honey that you do, because it really does help us with our hay fever. They've given it to their kids and it's sort of really reduced their symptoms. As you probably know, there's no actual cure to hay fever, so all we can do is make it better, make it more tolerable.
Well, that sounds good to me. I've been suffering for weeks. But tell us, why do you think that is? I mean, is there anything, what's in honey that reduces the symptoms?
Well, it's down to, obviously this is not medically proven.
Of course.
But it's down to the pollen sediments that's actually in the honey.
Okay.
So if you start taking the pollen, the honey, maybe January, February, earlier in the year, before the hay fever season actually kicks in, it actually builds up a tolerance in your immune system to the pollen, so that when the pollen starts flowing in spring, summer, your body and immune system can fight the allergic reaction to the pollen.
Well, our cameraman's already been stung by one of your bees, but I'm not gonna...
That was unfortunate.
Luckily it was only on the hand. And we do have some bees behind us. We're up against the weather at the moment with the thunder on the go. But just tell us, if we can, just quickly, how do you get a bee to go into a box or a hive or an apiary, whatever it is? How do you tempt it in?
At that point, the weather took a turn for the worst, and it was too dangerous to film outside, so we headed back to the local honeyman's headquarters to continue our interview.
Well, we had to move locations because it was teeming it down outside.
Unfortunately.
But you were just about to tell us about the properties of honey and what it can do. Tell us a bit about that.
Yeah, well, honey has got a wide range of properties. It's got a lot of antibacterial properties, a lot of anti-inflammatory properties.
Great.
So it's very good for your digestive system, very good for your immune system as well. It's
Yeah.
good for a whole host of ailments in the body.
And hay fever, if I was to take some of that, you mentioned that you start it early.
It's very good for hay fever. You have to start early, as you said,
Yeah.
and you have to allow your body to build up a tolerance to the pollen. Because a lot of our honey is raw and it has the pollen sediments inside the honey.
I see.
It helps your immune system build up a tolerance. when the hay fever season kicks in.
And it's in full swing right now.
Yeah, definitely.
We just tasted some of this honey and it's absolutely gorgeous. But what is a threat to bees at the moment? Because everyone always says the bees are all dying. Is there a threat to bees? Should we be worried?
At the moment, there's two threats. There's two sort of main threats to bees at the moment. So you've got the varroa mites.
Okay.
And you've got the Asian hornet. The varroa mite at the moment, all the beekeepers, more or less worldwide, live with that mite in the hive. So it's just something that we've learned to control.
So it's always there, pretty much.
Yeah, it's always there. Yeah, but it wasn't maybe 20 years ago. It was only in small sections of the world.
Yeah.
But with the global food trade as it is, it has spread. So now most countries suffer from the varroa mite.
Yeah.
And the Asian hornet is very deadly.
That
very
sounds
different.
horrible.
Yeah, it is. Very different to the European hornet.
Okay.
The Asian hornet is much more of a predator to the honeybees. And at the moment, that's it. They've landed in the south of France, and they're gradually making their way up.
Right.
And so we're trying our hardest, well, sort of DEFRA and sort of the government bodies are trying their hardest to restrict the Asian hornet's movement.
Right.
And if that comes to the shores, that's going to significantly impact the beekeeping trade and sort of honeybees in general.
And be a threat to the ecosystem as a whole.
Yeah, and to our food source, because you know honeybees are very important to the pollination
indeed
of our food.
Well, it's been really lovely to meet you today. Thank you so
No
much,
problem.
Curtis. I'm
Cheers.
going to take
Thanks for
some
your
honey
time.
with me. Thank you.
Cheers.
Thanks. Okay, so it is true. Local honey could reduce the symptoms of hay fever, but you do have to start early, perhaps around January. So I'm going to take this with me and make a nice hot drink.
Nicola, just come and stand behind me. Put a happy face on. You're on camera. Come through here.
That is disgusting.
Just come to me.
I don't think I can, Craig. Oh my God. No, I can't.
That's okay. Come around.
There's too many flies.
There's only a few thousand. Shame.
Oh my God, they're in that tree.
I just want to show you the grotesque nature of what lions will do. They'll eat this.
Yeah. Oh man, I hate flies.
Come here.
Oh my word. This is awful.
Come and look inside here. You see the teeth? I'm going to show you all the teeth of this animal. And it's incredible that a herbivore's armed with such teeth like this. It really looks like the mouth of a carnivore.
Oh, it smells so bad.
You see all the maggots?
I'm gonna be sick.
You see how the lions have eaten all this? You see this, all this chewed off, all the skin's been by the lions. Don't show weaknesses. The lion is just here. Incredible, Nicola.
Oh, it stinks.
Despite the rotting hippo, Craig insists I wait patiently for the lion's next feed. He expects to show me some great lion body language around a feast.
He is quite cheeky. He keeps pushing everyone's trunk out the way.
I've even seen them put their lips on the end and just drink it straight with their mouth.
Really? I've really never seen anything like it. I didn't realise they did this. It's almost like, get off, it's my water.
Look on the left, this little baby's fallen into the mud. He's made the mistake of making a beeline for the water, not gone round this muddy patch, and now it's gotten stuck. It often has very tragic consequences, a situation like this, because that mud is deep and it's very hard for them to get out of the mud. I see the mum coming around, that's the mum of the baby. You can see by her agitation. And she'll use her trunk, perhaps her feet eventually, because the elephant's trunk, yes, it is strong, but it's not the strongest part of their body. Their tusks and their legs are much more powerful.
Oh, I really hope he gets out. Doesn't look good. Will it be just the mum that tries to help, or would others try to help?
Other elephants from the same herd might, but from a different herd, they're not interested in that little baby. Okay, look at her using her trunk, trying to get it under the back of her baby. Oh my. Let's just see the outcome of them trying to rescue that little baby. If not, we'll go and do it ourselves. Nicola, look at this. This is incredible. The old matriarch, who's quite possibly the granny, has now taken over. No doubt something she's seen before in her life. Now let's hope this little baby can make its way through this quagmire. I think it's going to succeed. Come on, little guy. The problem is the mud's all the way to its belly. It's like a car getting its sump stuck. Oh, come on, little guy. You see how she's come around? And she's trying different angles to be successful, because even for herself, she's got to worry that she doesn't get stuck in the mud. Elephants' feet are quite well designed. When they stand, they widen. When they lift, they shrink. But for a little baby whose belly's on the mud like that, it's in trouble. Look at that, just having that old girl, that old matriarch there, has given this little guy some encouragement to push on. It only has a few yards to go to get to solid ground. And this is something that this baby, if it survives, will use in its life, not to go through sticky mud like this. You know, I don't like to over-dramatize things, but this is a life and death struggle for this little animal.
Come on, baby.
That baby's trying hard now. Just look, it's getting onto the... See, you can see a gap between the belly and the mud. It's going to make it. Isn't this a fantastic outcome?
Ah, brilliant.
And what a relief for that baby and its mum.
Oh, awesome.
A lucky escape. However, for this next little elephant, life wasn't so kind.
It's incredibly sad, Craig.
Yeah, for them especially. And even though it's very sad and it pulls on our heartstrings, and we love animals, the correct thing to do is to let these things go. Because as sad as this seems, if the lions don't get to eat it, the hyenas, they might die in turn. And there's a balance here, and we mustn't affect that balance at all.
I'm quite upset about this.
And so my African bush adventure ends, and it's back to Britain's urban jungles for me. It's hard to believe all the incredible animal encounters that Craig has led me into over the past few months. I've stood next to the largest land mammals on this planet as they communicated with their eyes, ears, head shakes and mock charges.
That's enough. We just came to see you, young man.
I've seen firsthand their intelligence and intricate herd mentality. Been really moved by the length that they will go to protect their young and defend themselves.
It doesn't look good.
She doesn't look good. We just came to see you, my girl. Sorry.
My heart has worked overtime as the lions, king of the big cats, have used pronounced facial expressions, vicious growls, tail flicking, and intense stares to convey messages that bore deep into my soul. I've perched above endangered white rhino as they spoke to each other with their horns and bluffing tactics.
As females become aware,
Oh no.
she's heading our way.
I thought the game was up when Craig and I were caught out by black rhino on the defensive, aiming their horns and alarming grunts directly at us. Buffalo talked to me with just as clear warnings, showing off with their horns and menacing upright postures. I just loved sitting beside the monkeys and baboons with their oh-so-human-like gestures of vulnerability, annoyance and curiosity.
He's the most relaxed individual. Now watch him drop.
But the more time I spend with them, I'm actually warming to them. They've got such lovely faces. And
I've seen the painful side of body talk as zebras used both teeth and hooves to get across their messages of domination with kicks and bites. Prey animals have shouted out loud to their predators in the language of fitness and agility with incredible jumping and leaping, while sable used their magnificent scimitar horns to get their message across. Craig the Codebreaker has led me with skill into all these close encounters and shown me firsthand that in the world of wild body language, you use what you have to get your message across. And what an incredible range of messages it is that these animals have got across to me.
That's about as close to a black rhino as you can get.